Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2025 Mazda CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus. Up front is a 2.5-liter turbocharged inline-4, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I love Mazdas. They are my favorite brand, and it's been several years since I've driven the CX-30. The latest one I've driven was a 2021, and although not a whole lot has changed since then, I'm excited to be back behind the wheel and share some reasons why I love it and some other reasons why I don't. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 2.5-liter turbo under the hood. Well, that is the upgrade engine for the Mazda CX-30. You can also find these with the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter. That's going to make about 191 horsepower. This makes mid 200s. I'll put it up on the screen, the exact number. I don't have it in front of me, but it definitely offers a nice superior punch over the 2.5-liter. This thing is quick, it's nimble, and it is very fun to drive. However, I personally always urge people to get the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter. That will run on regular gas, where this recommends premium. It's not a requirement, but it does recommend premium. It's going to be more reliable, and it's going to save you some money. I've always thought that the regular 2.5-liter is adequate enough for a vehicle like this, but the turbo is there if you do want more power. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, a lot of journalists dog on this transmission and say that it's horribly outdated, but those people need to suck on a pacifier because it honestly is a good transmission. Is it what I want when I'm battling a Ferrari at Le Mans? No, not quite, but that's not what the CX-30 is all about. It's smooth around town, it does the job, it's enough gears, and I'm happy with it. People that want this transmission to be more than it is are those that get disappointed. I'm not disappointed because I know what this transmission is all about. It's just an affordable working transmission for this application, and need I say more? Last but not least, this particular CX-30 is all-wheel drive. However, they only come in all-wheel drive as of now. So how does it feel to drive the Mazda CX-30? Well, unsurprisingly, it drives like a taller lifted Mazda 3 because it shares a platform with it and 99% of its parts that we'll talk about a little bit later on. I like it. Mazdas have always had superior driving feel to any of their competition, whether that be Toyota, Honda, or Nissan. You do get a fair amount of road feel. I personally enjoy that. It makes me feel more connected to the car, and the handling is really, really predictable. However, if you want that isolated, I'm riding on a cloud feeling, Mazda doesn't really offer that, even if you go up to their Mazda CX-90. Visibility is good. Rear visibility is not, but you'll also find that with the Mazda 3 does not have good rear visibility. The CX-5 is okay, and again, we'll mention that CX-5 quite a bit coming up. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, and off to the right is my coolant temperature and fuel, but in the center, I do get a customizable screen that operates as a gauge. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our volume, skip track info, and phone options, and off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise as well as passive steering assist. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent, our camera view button, our safety beepers on and off, parking sensors on and off, and off-road mode. And down below, we have a cubby as well as our rear power tailgate, 2 memory seats, and the seat set button. Moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock as well as our upgraded premium Bose sound system speaker, power mirrors, and power windows. And moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This is touchscreen when using Apple CarPlay, which is very, very nice to see. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay, which is fantastic. It works really well and such a nice feature to have. And the upper trims for the CX-30 do get a 360 camera, which I'm showing now, which has been really, really helpful for parking situations. Down below, we do have the climate controls. I've always loved how clean and concise modern Mazda climate controls are. Dual zone climate, as well as we do have a heated steering wheel and heated seat, and of course the hazard switch in the middle. Down below, we do have a wireless charger in front of the cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus, and unfortunately it fails. Now, okay, in the door, it does have a slot for a water bottle, and the big freaking bottle does fit. However, when you put it in, it bows out the plastic in the door, and I have to imagine that if you do it more than a handful of times, it's going to snap something or break something. And so I'm going to give this a fail. I understand it's possible, but you're going to wreck your car if you continue to do it. So unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is a fail. But moving back into the center console, we do have the shifter in the center, along with the sport mode button off to the left to turn on and off sport mode. Then we get a whole bunch of buttons. Off to the left is our power parking brake and auto holding brake. In the center is the selector for the infotainment screen when it is not touchscreen or when in motion. And off to the right, we have our volume and favorite button. The volume knob can also be used to skip track, which I love, and the CX-5 desperately needs this, where the Mazda 3, CX-30, and CX-50 all have this feature. We do get a center console with two USB-Cs, but no 12-volt outlet. There is no 12-volt outlet in the CX-30. Now, on the Mazda 3 forums, apparently some 2025 Mazda 3s are getting 12-volt outlets, some are not. I don't know what the distinction is. So if you go to test drive a 2025 Mazda CX-30 and you want a 12-volt outlet, double check to see if it has one. I know the older ones do, so if that is a huge, huge thing for you, you might want to search a little bit older. The seats are heated, they are power, and they are memory, and they're nice. I have done tons and tons of miles in not only this seat, but tons of other seats of other Mazdas, and I've never found an issue with it. My record is 14 and a half hours in one Mazda seat, and my back didn't hurt, so I like these quite a bit. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the Mazda CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus. It's not good. As mentioned earlier, this shares a platform with the Mazda 3, and so it shares a lot of dimensions with the Mazda 3, although the price tag is bigger than the Mazda 3. So, not a lot of space back here. My head is coming close to the ceiling, although it is not touching it, but my knees are smashed against the seat, and this is my driving position. Now, could I be nice and move up? Yes, of course. But if you use your back seats on a regular basis, please, please, please look at a Mazda CX-5. The CX-50, maybe a little bit better, but I still think the Mazda CX-5 has the better back seat of the three. And then, of course, the CX-90 is going to be a 3-row. CX-70 is going to be a big 2-row. So if backseat space is important, please look at the CX-5. This ain't it. If you got to use this once on a blue moon, that's fine. You're going to be able to handle it. I have put people in the back of my Mazda 3 for years and years and years. They were never happy about it, but it got the job done. Just, if you have a family, if you have kids, they're always going to be back here. I would highly recommend looking at something else. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, we're on the back of the Mazda CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus, and there's a button kind of pretty far recessed in there, but it does have a power tailgate, something that Mazda 3 does not receive. Once we are back here, not crazy space, about the same as the Mazda 3, which I have taken 5-week road trips with just the space back here. I think it's pretty adequate for that. You can pull it up here. We do get a spare tire. Very nice to see that here in 2025. Vehicles like the Dodge Dart, you would have to pay extra for that. Nothing too crazy beyond that. I would have loved to have seen a 12-volt outlet back here. However, there's not even a 12-volt outlet up front, as we mentioned, so I guess that's par for the course, but a little disappointing to see for like a tire inflator or camping or anything like that. Come up here, we do have a lock button as well as the power tailgate button, and it goes right back down like that, smooth, unlike the trees getting chopped up in the background. Very nice. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I don't love the look of the CX-30. I think the Mazda 3 and Mazda CX-5 are more handsome. This definitely gets those giant black cladding around the wheels to kind of give it a more off-road-y look to it, and I think that they're okay, but I just don't think that there's any huge redeeming quality with the exterior. Although it does look like a family member, it still follows Mazda's Kodo design language that you see in all of their products, so it looks happy in the family pictures. I just don't think it's it's the prettiest. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Mazda CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus for the last week? Well, if you're looking to buy this car, you have your mind set on the CX-30. You're going to go look at one later today, and you just wanted to kind of reassure yourself before you do that. Don't worry. You're making a good decision. This is a good car. I love the Mazda CX-30 on its own. I think it drives well. I think it looks presentable. It has decent enough tech. It's a Mazda, and it's going to be reliable. That's a good thing. I also want to preface this by saying that I am a huge Mazda fan. I have only ever purchased Mazdas in my life. I've owned 5 cars. All of them have been Mazdas. 3 RX-7s, a Mazda Miata, and now my Mazda 3. I talked my parents into getting a Mazda CX-5, and then they got another, and then they got another. Apparently they really like crystal blue mica or whatever that color is because they keep buying it. I just talked a really close friend into buying her Mazda CX-5. Funny enough, still in crystal blue metallic or deep crystal. I forget the name. Half of my wardrobe is Mazda t-shirts. On my desk is the Mazda rotary engine from my first RX-7. I'm a big fan of the brand. I love Mazdas. They're home to me. They're my favorite cars, and I've by far done the most miles in them. I say all of that because I don't really understand the Mazda CX-30. I don't see why you would buy one of these over a Mazda 3 or a Mazda CX-5. And when I say Mazda CX-5, I'm also counting the Mazda CX-50 in there. They're two different sides of the same coin, but the CX-5 I think is a little bit better. Let's talk about it. The Mazda 3. The Mazda 3 shares a platform with this vehicle. The underpinnings, it's all pretty much the same. I own a Mazda 3. This is my Mazda 3 that I've done 111,000 miles in on my own. No one else has driven that car. That car is more fun to drive. It has a lower center of gravity, so it handles a lot better. I think it looks sleeker, and I got that for way less than this car's price of $38,000. I picked up my Mazda 3 for about $23,000, and I'm very excited to pay it off this August. For affordability and handling, I prefer the Mazda 3. But when you start to look at this, you want an SUV. You want to be up out of the way. Sure, I get that. When you start to look at this price tag of $38,000 at the top end, that's nearly identical to the Mazda CX-5. Or at least you're in the range of the Mazda CX-5. I think the Mazda CX-5 is a far superior product. It has more room. It has great features, or sometimes better features. I think it looks better. I think it comes in more interesting colors, and there's a lot more of them on the road. So if a problem comes up with one of those, it's going to get fixed a lot quicker because it's Mazda's best-selling vehicle. And I'm not talking about their best-selling vehicle in the last 2 years. Their best-selling vehicle ever. For the name of the brand, the most amount of Mazdas ever sold have been CX-5s. My family loves them. My friends love them. They're fantastic. And when you start to price this car out to $38,000 like it is, I highly recommend looking across the table at the CX-5. It's just better. And if you're going to spend the money anyway, I highly recommend seeking it. But again, that's not to say that this is a bad car. Mazda just makes other products that fill this void really, really well. The only thing that I am jealous about with this vehicle over my personal Mazda 3 is that the Mazda 3 does not get an option for a power liftgate. The CX-30s do, as we saw with the trunk review. And so if I could retrofit this power tailgate to my Mazda 3, I would have the perfect car. But alas, that is the one thing that this car has over mine. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Mazda for letting me borrow their CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus for the last 7 days. Huge thank you to Drive Shop for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.